Hello there. So this is a new video, very spooky, ominous music will likely be playing. Hello there. This is JL. I've not uploaded in a bit, but I'm here with a Mr. Tekking101.
Ah, yes, JL. It's been quite some time since the crossover stream thing we did last July, if Need
Yes.
remembers. Oh, no, you were also doing the
I
charity
was
stream, right?
I
We
was
did the charity
also
stream
on
last week.
there,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes. Anytime anything involves crossover battles or horror movies, it's usually my
Of course,
MVPs.
because that is my whole bit. But speaking of horror movies, when this will be uploaded, it will be a certain day. What is that certain day, Mr. Tekking?
Saturday the 14th. Oh, wait, no, sorry. Friday the
Honestly, Saturday
13th.
the 14th is a much better title, much more apt, honestly.
There actually is a horror movie called
Oh,
Saturday the 14th.
I
Have you
have
ever seen
not
it?
seen it. I think I've heard of it, but God, does that.
Yeah.
Jesus.
There was an old movie like rental store when I was a kid. Now like I was a kid in like 2005, and so it was already like going out of vogue. But dude, it was like a store from like the 70s. Like it smelled like just cigarette smoke, and just you go in there, it had the old VHSs. And I remember there was one that said Saturday the 14th, and I've never rented it, but
Well,
it's a good
then,
movie.
next time, stay in tune for Saturday the 14th when that becomes.
I think it's a parody. I think it's mostly a
Oh
comedy
no.
movie.
But yeah, so for this Friday the 13th, we will be covering the I what is the public perception of this film? Would it be like the most middle of the road or
So you know what? Like, when it comes to all of the Friday the 13th movies at this point, considering there hasn't been a new one since, well, I mean, like, if you're not counting the remake, there hasn't been a new one for over 20 years at this point with, like, Freddy
yeah.
versus Jason. So it's only, like, the old timers and real aficionados of horror at this point, I think, that are big fans of this franchise. I would say it doesn't rank at the very bottom.
I'd say it's like perfectly in the middle. There's a lot worse as the series goes on.
Okay, maybe a little bit lower than the middle, but like I don't know. I would probably put this one out of like I don't know if there's like 11 or 12 that we're ranking them on. Probably like this is probably number 9 or 10, like near the
Yeah,
bottom.
yeah.
I would say.
I'd say this is slightly better. This I can laugh more at this than fucking Jason Takes Manhattan or Jason Goes to Hell. Uh,
Yeah, so I actually really like Jason Takes Manhattan just because there's some funny scenes in that movie, man. But like yeah, Jason Goes to Hell is probably the one I would put at the very bottom just due to like all of the different lore and things it introduces that's just like out of
what do you
nowhere.
mean? The Book of the
But
Dead was always there.
yeah, so Jason is a deadite, and by the way, there's also this ancient curse that exists for some reason that you have to break because he's a Voorhees, and I don't get that movie, man. And but hey, you know what? It
Andy has a
exists.
secret sister that is never going to be brought up.
Yep.
And speaking of
Yep.
continuity plot holes, this movie will introduce quite a few of them. I've written them down because there are a few
Oh yeah.
pretty notable
Yeah.
ones. But
We'll get into that. Yeah, I was watching it last night, and I was talking to you earlier before we started recording. The entire last act of this movie doesn't make much sense in terms of like continuity on where the killer is compared to like the kills that happen, but we'll get
of
to
course,
that.
so this movie came out in 1985. It was they basically started filming it like I think only like a few months after the last one had even released, and so
Yes, which was Jason the Final Friday, not the Final Friday, the final chapter. Final Friday was part 9. Um but yeah, they realized pretty much immediately that they're making a new one of these. Did you see the Crystal Lake Memories, which is like the
so
documentary about
I
Friday the
tried
13th?
to, and every time I did, it just did not work. I don't know what's going on with my internet sometimes, but I need to get the box
Oh,
set
weird.
as
Oh, okay.
well.
See, yeah, I have the DVD, so I actually popped that in this morning, and I was listening to the interviews and the segment on this movie. But yeah, they decided right away, like, okay, these make too much money. We got to make
Yeah,
another
of
one.
course, because the last one, the reason it was advertised as the final chapter was because of the MPAA being very up their asses, and same with your parent groups. So it was not very.
This one had to be submitted to the MPAA 9 times, and they actually talk about that in the documentary, where they go through all of the different things the MPAA was like, this is too brutal, this person's head is crushed, you have to cut this down even more, and it was very brutal.
But what was so interesting was, so I'm going to go into a little bit of Danny Steinman, the director.
Yeah, that guy is so I'm sure you're aware of where this is going.
Oh, very much. So he was approached for this film because a quote, and this is a quote from, I believe, Crystal Lake, they said this, he had a penchant for trashiness, not because of his filming skills. And essentially, he was on heavy amounts of cocaine during production.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, granted, it was the 80s. I mean, so, like, 90% of all films were made on cocaine.
Oh, yes, they were. But he also... so this movie is not liked by the editor, Bruce Green.
No.
The editor, Bruce Green, who said... Danny had no interest in filming, the characters. What did he have filming, interest in, Tekking? Do you...
So, boobs, for one
yes.
thing. So Danny Steinman is like an exploitation porn director from like the 70s. He's made 4 films. He's directed 4 films, with Friday the 13th Part 5 being actually the 4th one and the last that he ever directed. And the first one he did was a porn film in 1973 called High Rise. And then he did 2 other movies that are more like, they're called The Unseen and Savage Streets. I haven't heard of those, but like, yeah, he was a porn director. And if you've ever seen the interviews with him, he looks like more of a disheveled Danny DeVito kind of guy. Like, yeah. He looks like a guy that was a director of sleazy 70s porn films. And yeah, he passed away in 2012.
That's unfortunate, but what's so what's so interesting is, let's just say, speaking of sleazy exploitation films, this was not the only film he signed on for Paramount. They never got made, but he was going to be directing a Last House on the Left sequel.
Yeah, and it just never happened. But
the original pitch was it focuses on all the killers from the first movie in hell.
See, that
would have been...
it's been a while since I've seen Last House on the Left.
It's a hard watch, I'll just say that.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then one of the very... because I have some quotes that I'll be reading off as this goes on, but he says he blames himself for the lack of gore in this film, that he didn't fight harder for it, and he was more concerned with the nudity, saying, I shot a effing porno in the woods out there. You wouldn't believe the nudity they cut out.
They actually used, this is in the documentary, the dude that gets his head crushed with the strap in the woods. They actually used that as a bargaining chip, like, hey, we'll cut down the violence in this murder scene, but you got to give us more, like, nudity in the movie itself. So I bet the MPAA loved this guy and loved this film, because they had to figure out what the balance was between, like, okay, what ratio to violence and nudity is like an R rating, and what makes it an X rating? That was the big.
What's the proper ratio here before we, before we're degenerates at this point? God, so as we get into the actual film itself, we will most likely be talking about some of his, let's just say, a bit more disliked.
He has a style that he does,
a reputation, certainly. Yes. To get into the film proper, what happened in the last film right before all this?
So Corey Feldman killed Jason, if you just want like that. It was the final chapter. Corey Feldman, Tommy Jarvis, stabs Jason in the head with a machete and then proceeds to hack him to pieces. And as you can imagine, that's really traumatizing for, like, I believe Tommy's supposed to be 12 years old in the...
Yes, because he's supposed to be 17 in this.
So, yeah, is he supposed to be 17 in this? See, that's the thing. Like, I have seen so many different, like, it's like almost like every version of this movie that I'm reading about is like he's this old in part 5 and then he's like in his 20s in part 6. I've heard that he's like 15 in this to he's 17 in this to in part 6 he's supposed to be 19. Like I don't think anybody can pin down exactly how old Tommy's supposed to be.
Because they keep recasting him, which
exactly. Which, by the way, they used in this movie he's played by John Shepherd, I think, because Tom Matthews is probably the most famous Tommy Jarvis in the.
Yes, my personal favorite.
Yeah. John Shepherd, though, I think he does a pretty good job of this one. He really plays Tommy as like a mute that he only talks when he really absolutely needs to, and he's like super traumatized and closed off from everything that happened in part 4. He plays
He apparently did a lot of method acting for this role, which I can commend for. But he also was not the biggest fan when he found out that this was the movie he was doing, because obviously they wouldn't say that when they were auditioning, and he considered dropping out.
No, I think the working title of this was called Repetition.
Yes.
And so you just sign on for these movies and you don't know, and there's actually a story about some of the actors were hanging out on set not knowing what this movie's gonna be, and then a guy in a hockey mask and a machete walks by and they're like, oh holy shit, we're in a Friday the 13th movie, I guess. Like, oh okay.
Yeah, pretty much. And so this film begins with good old Corey Feldman back as it's pouring out rain.
Yes.
What the
yeah, so the story I've heard about this, and Corey actually was on the documentary talking about this movie. He really, really, really wanted to come back and do another Friday the 13th, like be the main character, but he got signed on to do Goonies by Steven Spielberg, and he was basically like pushed into doing that. But he really wanted to do this, so they kind of compromised and like, okay, fine, you can have like a cameo in this silly like horror movie, but you got to do Goonies because that's like the big movie. That's fucking Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, directed by the guy who did Superman also. So
yeah, so like that's the compromise. He's in the very beginning of the movie where that was all shot in his backyard.
I hear conflicting reports. I hear that it's either his backyard or somebody else, like his neighbors.
Yeah, the director says it was his backyard, but it doesn't matter. It was like his neighbors. They just kind of threw up some stuff in a rain machine and they shot it in like a couple of hours. So it's a dream sequence where Tommy is walking through the woods and encounters this like very Halloween-esque grave of Jason Voorhees.
Yeah, so I have many questions about this. First, I know this is a dream.
Yeah.
This is a dream.
It is a dream.
But
it is a
why
dream.
does Jason have a gravestone? It's like part fucking 4 when Pamela has one. It's like, why does she have a gravestone?
It's representative of Jason isn't buried deep in Tommy's mind, I guess, JL. If you just want to go, that's the way I interpret
well then
it.
Who the fuck are these guys showing up?
These are the people that Tommy thinks is going to awaken Jason. So there's 2 random dudes like that are just 2 rednecks that show up. And they're like Neil and Les. They actually have names.
Not Mr. Lester and Mr. Moe, of course.
Yeah, so they show up to dig up Jason. They pull off the coffin. There's a dude in there with worms coming out of his head. You see worms coming out of his mask. Jason wakes up, stabs both of them, comes after Tommy, raises the machete, and then that's when Tommy wakes up from the dream and like, that
like, slow motion shot was obviously not filmed in slow-mo, so it's just
Yep.
But yeah, so we get over to the opening credits of the film. Just a quick comments about these. I've never liked the like early on fucking credits.
You don't like the early credit, dude? They keep those all the way up until like part 7.
No, it's so weird. I don't get it.
Yeah. I love it. I love the black background with like just the white text and then the themes playing. Like I think that's so Friday the 13th.
I find it so funny where it's just like it randomly appears on different parts of the screen. It's like, whoa, it's so jarring.
Yep. I also love the random thing of just like the hockey mask exploding sometimes. I think they did that in part 4
Yes, that was
too.
great.
Like it's just giant explosion.
Giant explosion. Okay. And then we get okay, yeah, going through my notes, we talked about John Shepherd. Yeah, he did. He volunteered at a mental hospital for this. So yeah, we get to we are at Pinehurst Youth Development Center.
Pinehurst Youth Development Center. It's like a halfway house boarding house for troubled teens that are about to re-enter society.
Where we also, allow these teens who are apparently have anger issues, we allow them to have axes and drive machinery around.
Dude, the guy that the dude that murders Joey literally is driving a tractor in like the first, like this guy has severe anger issues and it's like, let's give him the job that requires heavy machinery and sharp objects. It's like, okay.
Yeah, and we're giving the kid with a clear eating disorder all of this chocolate. It's like, okay, I don't...
Yeah, oh god, yeah, that's true.
I don't think we're the most responsible people here.
Dude, literally, the guy that runs it, who is named Matt, by the way, I think the only time in a Friday the 13th series, that's the only guy that has, like, the same name as me. But he literally just meets with Tommy and is like, hey, we don't have any guards here. You're your own person. We let you do just whatever you want to do. And it's like, I understand the logic behind that, but, like, yeah, maybe some more supervision. There's like 2 staff. That's kind of all that
exactly, especially when later, like, just 2 random members of them just go out in the fucking fields and have sex. It's like, we shouldn't...
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like they keep getting drawn in by the police. That's Eddie and Tina. And they keep running off to this neighbor's property and having sex in the woods. And they keep getting brought back by the police. And the police, like, sheriff is like, dude, Matt, you got to stop. Like, you got to figure out a way to get them off their property. It's going to keep happening. She's going to come out with a shotgun at some point and kill them. And Matt's like, all right, I'll talk to him. And apparently just, like, nothing ever improves.
Well, so let's get to, so he meets Matt and Pam, who likes saying her full name.
Pam.
Yeah, Pam Roberts. While this seedy-looking character, Billy, makes an odd licking motion. So, we'll see him later in the film for some reason.
Yeah, Billy is just like he's literally, I feel like, the director in the movie. Let's just make this like degenerate kind of like,
well, he was
lecherous guy as a
he was
character.
Apparently in his earlier films, like, the exploitation ones. So.
Yeah, I can see that. I can understand why.
So I will also say John Shepherd. He looks like he's in his 30s. He's 21 during this, I think. But like, God, he looks old.
He's 20. He looks like I mean, like, I don't know. He's ripped in this movie, to be honest with you. There's that scene where he's like panicking in his room and he sees like the illusion of Jason. Dude has like a 6-pack. So like Tommy has been getting ripped in the mental institution, waiting for the day that Jason wakes back up.
Apparently. And so Matt says, honor system. We let them do what they want, especially if they want to chop wood, drive machinery, get chocolate bars. We encourage that kind of behavior around here. So then he goes off to his room where he looks at a picture of his sister that's never going to be mentioned in this film.
What happened to Trish?
I have no fucking clue, because at the end of part 4, there was the original ending, which was going to be...
where the mom is dead.
Which is like, is that what they're trying to do? No, because that wasn't the one that was used at the end of the day. It's like, well, then wait, where is she?
Well, I would assume the mother is still dead, because there was that scene in the 4th when they left in where she just kind of like walks outside in the rain and is like shocked, and then it just cuts. So there was a scene later where they find her in the bathtub at the end of the movie and they cut it. But I'm assuming the mom is still dead. So I just don't know what happened to Trish. The only thing I could think of is Trish and Tommy were both so messed up from the events of part 4 that she could not be the legal guardian of him, and then she also got committed and they're in separate hospitals, or maybe she took her own life or something. I mean, know.
It would just be interesting to at least mention,
Yeah, to acknowledge what happened to her. It also doesn't get brought up in the 6th movie either, but it's very clear that she's not around anymore. So I think she probably just took her own life. Is probably the simplest explanation, from like the death of her mother, and her brother is, in a mental asylum, and just like she's also not doing too good and she just couldn't take it anymore. Probably.
Yeah. And apparently he has a knife. Where the hell did he get that?
Yeah, I don't know how he got that. Like that he came from the more secure mental institution with a giant pocket knife, and it's like, okay,
all right, guess we got that. Jesus. And also he has all those masks, which made me question, why does he have those?
I would see they would let him keep those in the mental institution just as like a hobby aids and like rehabilitation kind of thing. They also just a chance to use the props from the 4th movie, which those masks were made by Tom Savini. So like if you have them,
they could have used the funny puppet thing from part 4. That would have been a lot better.
That would have been funny. But also, like, it's cool because this movie actually honestly follows Tommy's character way better from part 4 than in part 6. Because Tommy in part 6 doesn't really... He doesn't wear the glasses. He doesn't bring up anything like I used to wear masks or anything. Like it's Tom Matthews plays him as like kind of a different character.
Pretty much. But
yeah.
As we're going along, we get introduced to a Reggie the Reckless as he jumps out.
I love
do
Reggie.
Too.
Reggie's like the best character in this.
Yeah, and he of course says, "You're one freaking scared cat." Of course, because dialogue, and played by Shavar Ross, who actually auditioned for the Goonies. Apparently, he wanted to be in that.
Yeah. So the story with this is, I think, because the way they had Part 4 structured with like a kid in the main role, they wanted to have Corey Feldman in the second one. He was too busy, so they still had it like, oh, we still need to have like a child as like the main character that kind of ultimately helps to defeat Jason, and that's where Reggie's character comes from. By the way, Shavar Ross is hilarious listening to him like talking about this role. He had a lot of fun with it. He has a lot of fond memories of this movie. Can you imagine being 12 years old and being in a Friday the 13th movie? It'd be so crazy. It'd
either be awesome or incredibly traumatizing.
Yeah, one of the two, but like he seemed like to turn out okay, and he had a fun time with it.
Yeah, but so with that we get I just want to question, why is Reggie around to like allowed to just scare all of these people who are, some of them are clearly very mentally unstable.
Oh, this is not a well-run institution, JL. Like, this is not at all.
What are you talking about? As we get into the next scene, I mean, like, Sheriff Tucker brings back Tina and Eddie. It's...
Yeah. There's also the scene later when Eddie, like, puts on one of Tommy's masks and scares him. And they're like, yeah, this place is, like, yeah. Anyway. So
Tina and Eddie.
Yeah, Sheriff shows up. This is where we get introduced to like a lot of the characters. We get introduced to Ethel and Junior here.
Of course, the greatest characters of this entire film. I will argue that.
Ethel is
love
great.
her in this.
Yeah.
Darcy DeMoss. Oh wait, no, this is another note. Darcy DeMoss.
Ethel is Carol.
Yes,
Lockjaw.
I had put in my notes that Darcy DeMoss was originally going to play Tina. In this, but she was cast in Part 6 as Nikki. She had
as Nikki in Part 6, and in this version, it is actually Debbie Sue Voorhees because she has the same last name as Jason.
Yes,
Voorhees.
very much. Yeah. But yeah, we get Carol, I'd written that down, and she threatens, as she gets there, she threatens any of the kids, if they come on their property again, she will kill them. Very publicly in front of the sheriff, by the way, very...
Yeah, the sheriff just treats it like, oh, that's just the way things work here out in the woods. Yes. She's like, if any of these crazies walk into my property again, I'll chop their heads off. And the sheriff's like, oh, Ethel,
I got a bomb on me.
Yeah, I got a bomb on me. I'll blow us all sky high. Like, dude, her actress is great because she's like a sweet old grandma, and she's just talking about this role now as if like I cursed a lot back then. I'm like, yeah.
And then, but apparently, so Steinman said the origin for why they have Southern accents and nobody else does in this whole film. He said this in an interview. This is really weird. I was just reading this like earlier, right before we came on here. He was like, someone asked him, hey, why do they have accents and nobody else does? And he said, well, apparently they were from Alabama originally. And Junior got caught doing something to a three-legged fucking... I think a lamb or something like that. And they got run out of town. So...
That's the perfect backstory I can imagine for those characters.
Yeah, very...
Because they really are like hillbillies, right? Like that, like living out in the woods here. And Junior is a, rather simple kind of man. And he's just like in the background. They really do play it off like somewhat like old Hanna-Barbera cartoon characters where Ethel is like yelling at the sheriff and Matt. And then Junior's like, you tell him,
will you shut the fuck up?
It's like, say it like you mean it, Mom. It's just like, oh, it's
yeah.
Funny.
But as we go on, we transition from this, and of course, before this, Tucker asks about Tommy doesn't really follow up on this ever again. Just kind of, like.
The sheriff has like a subplot that kind of starts up with the mayor, and then it just doesn't.
Yeah, but the mayor, I'm going to talk about that later because that's such a.
We'll get to the mayor when we get to the mayor. The mayor is fun.
Yeah.
The only time I think we meet the mayor of Crystal Lake, and he's about as every bit incompetent as
Pretty
you can
much.
imagine.
But as we transition, the next scene is out in the backyard where Joey, the character who clearly has an eating disorder, but he has like he's allowed to have all this chocolate on him in like every pocket. It's like
Yeah, he has like 3 chocolate bars on him at all times.
It's like holy shit! Why are we allowing this? I feel like we're very
and he's very he's so much like I want to help people, but he doesn't really know like what he's doing. So he like tries to help Violet and Robin with the laundry, and his hands are all covered in chocolate. So he reaches down and grabs a sheet, and they yell at him. And he goes over to then try to help Vic, who I would not approach this man with like a 10-foot pole. This is a dude that's like angry punk guy chopping wood with an axe. I'd be like, I'm gonna stay away from this guy. This guy looks angry and mean, and he's gonna probably kill me.
Speaking of punk, he was actually in Return of the Living Dead. Victor. He was played by Mark his name. Venturini. That's a name that I was able to pronounce.
Yeah, Venturini. He has passed away since then. The actor.
Very unfortunate. But it's not the only cast member from Return of the Living Dead in this film, as we'll get to later. But yes, Vic is chopping wood, and as for like the 4th or 5th time we'll mention this, why is he allowed to have an axe? Very...
Well, because his job, they have chores. Chores aid in rehabilitation as well, and his chore is to take the axe and go chop down
and apparently
wood. That's
drive tractors and such like that. Very responsible to give him keys to a motorized vehicle. Very great. But as we Joey tries to appeal to Vic, and he's like, hey, you want one of my chocolate bars? He's like, no, I don't like chocolate. And he slices it in half, and Joey of course gets very upset, and he demands respect, and he goes to walk off, and then Vic just chops him in the back.
And then he goes and just stabs him apart, and that's actually that's the first like actual kill of the movie that isn't a dream sequence. It's not even Jason. It's Vic.
Yes, Faison, as I will be referring to him throughout this.
Yeah, Vic Faden, and also there is later on when we get to the trailer park, there is his last name is like graffitied on the inside of the outhouse. So you can kind of like he's like a delinquent of Crystal Lake.
I guess so. But we also got so after this incident, the paramedics show up, and Vic's being arrested, and of course Duke, one of the paramedics, he's getting Joey's body. He blows some bubble gum, and he says the kids are a bunch of pussies.
Yeah. And we meet Roy, who is also another paramedic, and so. Here's the thing, JL. Do you think the people going into this movie knew it was like a murder mystery?
I don't think. Do you really think they would know? Because, no. I don't think either. Because my natural assumption would be if I'm watching part 4, and they're like, "Oh, we're doing a sequel, like a new beginning." I know what like a new beginning. It probably is just like a tagline. I wouldn't think of anything of it. I would genuinely be like, "Yeah,
no, exactly."
It's just a
if you watch this movie knowing that it is a murder mystery, Jason's not really the killer, you got to figure out who it is, then there's a couple of scenes that kind of focus on Roy being the killer. But if you go into this thinking that like, oh yeah, Jason's the killer because he always is, then that actually would kind of take you by surprise. You would not pick up.
But you would also be very weirded out on why he's looking at the camera for such like a long period of time.
Would you though? Because that's the thing, like, you might just be sitting there thinking to yourself, like, oh, that's a weird scene. But there's also been, like, we just had a scene where a guy got killed over a chocolate bar. So I don't think that's going to be something that you're really going to focus on.
Well, I'm going to focus on it later with the mayor when he specifically yells, Jason's been cremated. Jason's dead. Like, I would be like, then why? Because later on when Roy shows up, of course,
that's the other one. There's 2 scenes that highly basically push Roy being the killer. But once again, if you're just not super astute or not paying attention, I think they would kind of fly over your head.
That makes this movie genius, honestly. Of course.
I wouldn't say genius, but I will say, like, I'm picturing myself in a movie theater in 1985 watching this for the first time, not having any knowledge of obviously none of the other Friday the 13th are out yet, nothing beyond 5. I probably would have been. I don't know if I would have been happy with the twist, but I think I would have been surprised by the twist.
Yeah. But Matthew specifically says that Joey never met his dad, and his father's he was abandoned by his parents apparently. Well, his mom's dad at least.
His mom died giving birth, and then the dad ran off somewhere. And this is all like information we get just offhandedly, like, oh yeah, Joey's dead. This is his little backstory. You're not gonna think that like, oh yeah, the paramedic that came to pick him up, he's clearly the dad, obviously.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like, I think that's a pretty, well done way of like quickly explaining the situation without actually.
The only other thing though, the one thing that was clunky is earlier when Joey says, as an orphan.
Yeah, that was a little strange. That was like, well, as an orphan and all, I know that.
Okay, how many of these kids are orphans? I feel like at least a few of them are.
A few of them are probably wards of the state.
But after this, we suddenly cut to these two random 50s greasers.
Yes. For some reason, 50s, by the way, this is how most of the early kills in this movie will do. We'll have a scene and then immediately just two characters that we don't really know much about getting murdered. That's pretty much the recipe.
Yeah, because Steinman was asked about these two specifically in an interview, and he said these were two guys that needed to be killed and nothing to do with the story.
Yep, that's like just random 1950s greasers that are driving around in the 1980s dressed as 1950s greasers.
Exactly, and their names are Pete and Vinny. And
Pete and Vinny,
the actors claimed they weren't playing it gay, but it does kind of feel like they're a bit of a couple.
One of the actors I saw was just like, I mean, if you want to interpret this as they were a gay couple, then go right ahead.
I think it's sweeter if you have them yelling "crap my ass." Whenever I hang out with my significant other, I'll definitely yell that.
They care about each other, JL. Yeah, they just haven't confessed their feelings for each other yet. But, if they didn't die, who knows?
If they didn't die, well, Pete walks off after yelling, crap my ass. Well, no, I think that was Vic. It does... Oh, fuck. Now I'm mixing them up.
I think Vinny is the one that's fixing the car, and Pete's the one that goes off and... takes a crap.
And then we get, of course, the long scene where Pete gets jump scared by a rabbit. I don't know why that's there. Yes.
Of course, as you do. Yeah. That's a standard. And then Vinny gets killed in a... Okay, here's the thing. The kills in this movie are actually pretty damn original. You gotta give it. I will say,
I was actually kind of a fan of the idea of this kill, but I was very confused why, Vinny... So, Vinny's like, hey, who is that? Wait a minute. Pete, what are you doing, Pete? I mean, seriously, you got that flare out, Pete. And then at the last second...
He opens up a road flare, walks slowly over to him, and just shoves it in his mouth. So it's like, yeah, he probably... Vinny has the slowest reaction speed ever, apparently.
You couldn't tell.
But,
you couldn't tell that it wasn't his friend. He was like, who is this guy?
Yeah, he's like, why are you approaching me with that lit torch?
How are you, like a foot taller?
Oh! It just shoves it in his mouth.
It's not even a bad dummy. It doesn't look that bad, but,
It actually looks pretty good, for the brief scene
I would have probably done a bit of a different angle so we didn't see the eyes, which look a bit,
Yeah, the eyes look a little bit plastic, but, like... Hey, shoving a road flare into somebody's mouth, you don't see that every day. I can't think of any other road flare murders. I'm sure there's probably a few, but, that's the one that stands out.
Yeah, probably a few I'm not thinking of. I've been watching a lot of, B-tier stuff recently, so...
Yeah.
But with that, Pete comes back, and, he starts singing to himself as he tries to, get the...
Rat-a-tat-a-tat-a-tat-a-toot.
And clearly improv. It goes on for a bit too long, where I'm just like, okay, Steinman, just say cut. My Christ, what are you doing? But we get a throat slit from behind, very awkward camera,
A very Michael Myers-esque kill. I'm just going to hang out in the back seat, wait for this guy to come back. Clearly doesn't notice anybody in the back seat. I've realized cars back in the 80s were very unsafe because they didn't have lights that turned on when you opened the car.
But I'm a bit more confused. Why did, we'll just call Jason here. We'll just say Jason. But why did Jason wait for him to, start up the car before slitting his throat?
Oh, that's another thing too. Oh, well, why did he wait? I don't know. Just dramatic flair. Maybe he didn't think the car would actually start, and then it did, and Jason's like, oh shit, I actually gotta kill this guy now. I don't want him to get on the road.
Slit throat.
But Jason does, there's a few kills in this where, Jason is positioned, perfectly. And by I say Jason with air quotes. but Jason is positioned like perfectly where he knows where the people are going to go and going to run
Yeah,
to.
which is a bit odd, but I'm especially more. This is going to be one of the first like clear examples of the MPAA like asking for censorship, because the camera zoom in on flipping Pete's face is very awkward.
Pete.
It's very weird.
It is, and they have to keep like editing and chopping it up to make it like because you get to see like they show like all the different like things they had to cut, and they'll cut things down, and it's like, yeah, you cut this down, but it's not good enough. Cut it down even more, and they'll like 9 revisions until they finally got it right. So a lot of these kills and the cuts are so.
I think, well, the MPAA was really targeting Friday the 13th because the first one really got by them. Like from what I've heard, they like barely looked it over because they didn't really think it would be like a big deal. And then,
yeah, they just thought it was another like standard, like, oh, okay, Friday the 13th.
Yeah,
whatever.
But then it became like a huge thing. So since then, they've kind of had a grudge, being like, well, we got to make sure they actually like, lay into this shit.
Yeah.
But with that, we get to Tommy sweating a lot and, thinking about Die from Corey Feldman just screaming in his ears.
Yeah, that was a cool scene that when what was his name that played John Shepard? When John Shepard was actually talking about this scene, he's like, yeah, I just laid down in bed and just started sweating, and it was a crazy scene. I guess he really liked that one particular one. So he gets up, sees Jason. We see a few different like hallucinations of Jason in this movie, and the ones Jason, and every time this was clever the way they did this. The hallucinations all have Jason's actual hockey mask with the axe cut and the red like chevrons, the red triangles on it. And the Jason in the movie that's actually killing everybody has the blue markings to like distinguish between the two. So they actually like cared enough to actually like show.
I just find it funny as I'll just call our fake Jason Faison, because obviously it's like, who could it be? Who could it be behind that mask? But why were you thinking like, oh, okay, I'll just get a hockey mask. I guess this one's close enough. It's like, I thought you were pretending to be Jason.
Yeah. Well, he didn't want to trespass on Jason's like turf, so he's like, well, I don't want to get the exact same hockey mask, because then like I'll get one that's like
exactly.
Close enough.
I don't want him to come back from the dead. That'd be crazy.
I mean, in terms of getting the costume, it's not hard. All you got to do is get a hockey mask and like a boiler suit, and you're pretty much set.
And then right after that, everybody's having breakfast. Everybody's having a nice little brekkie. We get to introduce to Grandpa George, and everybody gets upset at Violet because she put down a plate for Joey, and not everybody was happy with that. Well,
There was actually a nice scene between George and Reggie. So Reggie is George's like grandson, and I guess lives with him and stuff, or like hangs out there occasionally.
At least gets breakfast.
And yeah, it's breakfast, and he's like, "Go tell everybody it's breakfast." And then Reggie just shouts out the front door, "Yay, everybody, breakfast!" And then George is just like, well, I could have done that. And that got a chuckle out of me. I thought that was
a lot
funny.
of the comedy in this movie is a lot better. Like, I think it's really just because it's the actors of being allowed to really do whatever they want.
Oh, there's so much ad-libbing
so funny.
in this. Yeah.
And so Tommy comes in, and he's just kind of silently standing there for a bit before Matt says, hey, Tommy, can you go and get Eddie? It's like, okay, I guess I'll go get Eddie. I just got here, but where is he? He doesn't ask that, obviously, but he starts to walk out, and then Eddie just jumps in with his mask and just frightens the shit out of Tommy, but not really. And then
and then Tommy beats. Oh, he does like a whole MMA thing. He does like a full body flip into a table, and then beats the shit out of Eddie. And then Matt has to like hold him back. Once again, there's no like discussion here over like, all right, maybe some repercussions should be dealt here to either of them, or like, hey, Eddie, don't do that. You went into Tommy's room and stole a mask, and Tommy, you're beating people up. He's like,
I mean, specifically, the sheriff had warned Matt, being like, you got the Jarvis kid, be a bit careful. And he's not doing anything. All he's doing is like pinning Tommy up against the wall. He's not really like, okay, I'll reprimand you later. He doesn't even say anything.
Well, we got to have a discussion about this. Okay, there is a line earlier where they mentioned like they gave Tommy a bunch of different treatments at the other place, and they gave him like a bunch of different drugs. They just pumped this like 12-year-old kid up with like all these psychiatric drugs to kind of get him to like be okay, and that probably made it like fried his brain even worse.
They gave him they just gave him as many treatments as possible, and they were like, well, nothing worked, we'll ship him off to this random camp in the middle of nowhere. This won't trigger anything.
Yeah, that'll probably help him. A camp in the woods.
Oh,
yeah,
right near
right.
the place where he killed that person. Yeah, it's totally great.
We actually don't know. I mean, I guess it's in the same. It is in Crystal Lake because there's the mayor and everybody, but I don't know how far this is relative.
It is one of those things where it's like, I feel like it's not the best thing for his psyche. But as we go on, after this, we get randomly intercut with Ethel, chopping up stuff.
Yes. Oh, the chicken scene. I love the chicken.
It's so weird. And then, of course, Ethel says one of my favorite lines in this movie, you big dildo.
Just a random okay, that's funny.
And it's so weird because then Ethel goes to the front door and she suspects it's like,
oh, the scene with the drifter.
But it's weird because she's like immediately like, yes, the coyote, and I'm like, why wouldn't you assume it's the kids? I feel like that's would be my first.
Well, she has a shotgun
exactly.
Either way,
and she goes out there and she says, "Who the fuck are you?" And
who the fuck are you? What the fuck do you want? Just like. And this random drifter is he actually does
Raymond,
have a name.
Yeah.
Raymond. Yeah, his name's Raymond. And I don't know if there's a novelization of this movie. There probably is. I think there's novelizations of all of them. And you actually learn a lot more names of the characters in the novelization version.
I mean, I'm so weirded out by him because there's a weird lingering shot right after Ethel's like, you go out and you go do all this work. And he's like, And there's a weird shot where I'm like, are they trying to hint? Is he like a red herring or I don't know.
I think they are. I think they're just like once again, if you don't know that this is a murder mystery, you might just be watching this at this point being like, okay, when the hell is Jason going to show up? We know it's Jason killing everybody. But I think they are trying to establish is it Tommy? Is it the drifter? Is it Matt? Who's the killer in this movie?
Yes, it's totally the random drifter who has one line. But yeah, no, well, I mean that's probably more lines than around the same amount of lines as the real killer, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, so there you go, yeah.
We transitioned from that to the greasers found by Tucker and the rest of the police officers. And, they're collecting up all the bodies. And then, randomly Roy looks at the sheriff when he's talking to himself. And he's like, you talking to me, Sheriff? He says, no, Roy.
Yep.
He's like, I thought you was talking to me. Very not weird at all.
No, it's all good, Roy. It's okay.
Yeah, Roy, you got your bloody shiv in your pocket. I won't question that.
And then the scene right after where the sheriff he's talking to the deputy and he's like, who could be responsible for this? And then there's a quick 2-second cut to Roy putting the body in the ambulance, and it's like, okay. So once again, watching it, knowing what's going on, it's like, okay, that's clearly them hinting at Roy.
I feel like at this point, it's a bit too much, where it's even if you didn't know, you'd be like, this is...
What I'm trying to put, like I said, I've seen this so many times, and I know how this ends. I'm trying to put myself in the mindset of somebody just in the theater in 1985, watching this for the very first time, not knowing shit. And I don't think I would have picked up on that.
Well, the next scene is another one of the greaser vignette, basically, but
yes, it's just two other people. Although we have met one of them
Billy,
before.
And Billy comes into this he comes to this parking lot where for this diner, and he says he screams for the waitress, saying, "I would like Lana to go with nothing on her."
Yeah, so Lana is a character we've never met. She's just a waitress at a diner who's dating Billy. Billy, in case you forgot, was the random guy that dropped off Tommy at the beginning of the movie. He's the random dude that works for.
And he was licking at Pam earlier. He was doing a weird licking.
Yeah, he was the one that was like, "I'm an open pervert" kind of thing. You know what I mean? That's his character. And so these are just two more characters that are just going to die. Lana has a scene where she goes back in the diner to get dressed, take off her waitress uniform and switch into her other outfit because her and Billy are going to go party and do some cocaine and whatever. It's the 80s. And she gets naked as you do.
It's showtime.
It's Friday the 13th. It's showtime. She actually the actress talked about that scene. She learned that from a movie in 1979 called All That Jazz. There's a dude that's like, it's showtime. And that's what she went up to the director. She went up to Danny and was like, "Hey, can I just like it's showtime and like take my top off?" And Danny was like, "That sounds fantastic.
With
You
some
do
powder
that."
coming off his nose, obviously. Yeah, that's a great idea. Oh.
Yeah, probably. And I was like, "Oh, that sounds great. Let's do that."
Because
yeah.
I'm gonna lead into that because Billy's actor. Billy's snorting some coke, but the actor himself says it was talcum powder, and says he was one of the only ones on set who wasn't on coke that night.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, if they actually needed cocaine for that scene, I don't think it would have been hard to find.
Well, I think everybody would have been like, "Hey, it's my coke. Don't touch mine."
Yeah, yeah, coke is expensive.
Exactly.
Dude.
I mean, like, this is one of my bigger movies. I'm not gonna get any money for this, but yeah. And Billy's snorting some coke, and he's waiting for Lana, and then suddenly, as he gets out of the car, oh no, he gets chopped in the head with an axe. Oh my gosh. And pretty fake looking dummy, but it doesn't go that long. It's very quick, so you don't really think about it, but still.
Yeah, no, their kills are very like abrupt. She gets axed in the stomach, he gets axed in the head, and that's
it's so like this is one of those ones where I'm like, so the greaser was the worst. I will say that's like the worst. Like it has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah.
But Billy's is even weird. Is also really weird, where it's like, really nothing. Like, are they going to come back later? Is it going to be mentioned? No, I don't even think. Yeah, Tucker doesn't even go.
No, this one doesn't even get. No, this one doesn't even get acknowledged again. They're just
like, what the hell?
Yeah.
It's very weird. And also, Alana's dramatic death pose, very over the top.
Oh, yeah. She actually talked about that, where she was just like, she was walking around set with like an axe sticking out.
Honestly, I wish that was me. That sounds pretty fun.
Yeah, it sounded like it would be fun.
But, and then we go on to another Tommy hallucination where we see Hallucin Jason outside the window. But apparently, this was the actor for Jason. I'll talk about him later, but was looking at Dick Warlock's butt. Through the window.
Yeah, he was being mooned by the director. Not the director. I think like the camera operator, like the DP.
No, so it was the stunt coordinator, Dick Warlock, who actually played Michael Myers in Halloween 2.
Yes. Yeah. In the second one. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And it was like trying not to laugh as Jason under the mask and trying not to like move. But yeah, he was being mooned in the process.
But it's like, this is one of those shots where it's so weird because the rest of the hallucination Jason scenes have like a very sharp lighting, like very sharp red, Giallo-esque. But it's like here, it's like he's just outside. It's like, huh?
He's just outside standing amidst
chickens.
The
surrounded by cock.
Yeah.
Good old Jason.
Yep.
But
and also, by the way, this is like another scene because like the idea is that maybe Tommy's the killer. And he sees Eddie and Tina run off into the woods before he sees the hallucination of Jason. And it's like, oh, he saw them go in the woods and then they die next. So, like, was it Tommy?
I think it's one of those things where I do wish I could remember the first time I saw this movie. Because I saw it, I think, when I was, like, probably 8. I should not have seen this movie, but,
Yeah, I was probably like, oh, God, I watched them all when I was, like, 11 or 12 or something like that.
Yeah, but, well, my older brother went through his horror phase and, I was younger, so I just...
My mom loved horror movies, and she let me watch a lot of them when I was a kid. Although, weirdly enough, she wouldn't let me watch Blair Witch Project.
Really?
She said that one was too scary. And I'm like, that one's like, really? And then I finally watched it way later in high school, and I'm like, Mom, this was not... The Friday the 13th is worse than this.
It's one of those things where it's like, I guess to a younger mind, where it's like, you wouldn't be thinking about it. It's like, is this real, Baba? It's like, I guess it'd be a little bit more traumatizing in that sense, but yeah.
Yeah.
But, and then we get to the mayor. So...
Mayor Cobb.
Yeah, Mayor Cobb, who is definitely a very relevant character that will show up throughout the entire series, obviously. It's not like...
I would have loved a Mayor Cobb cameo in every single Friday.
Where
Jason Voorhees is back again. He's in Manhattan this time.
How will this affect our ticket prices this year? Oh, God. Oh.
He's basically, the mayor from he's just the mayor from Jaws. It's like, we can't turn down the beaches. We need to make money. Yeah, but
that one is, this one's even weirder than that because it is clearly a ripoff of Jaws there, but it's so like,
now,
I don't get
it is.
Why. First off, I don't know why the mayor's going in person here. That feels really weird.
Well, because, I mean, there has been murders, and it is a small town. I can kind of get that.
But it's...
He wants to know. He wants to talk to the chief, because there's probably people crawling up his ass. Like, hey, mayor, like 4 people are dead in the last 2 days. You want to get this taken care of? And he's like, all right, I'll go talk to the chief of police.
Two random greasers and 2 perverts are dead. What do we do about this? And, but...
and a boy was hacked to get to death at a halfway house. It's
And
like,
we'll never mention that halfway house again. It's not like it's very unsafe in this community. But so this is a line that's going to get referenced if we ever talk about part 6. Maybe we'll do a video on that eventually.
Yep.
But he says Jason was cremated, and he's nothing but ash.
Yes. Now, to be fair, though, the sheriff immediately follows that up with, "Were you there, Mayor? Did you see him get cremated?" And the mayor doesn't really say yes or no. So it implies that the mayor doesn't even know. He was told that he was cremated, but he wasn't there. So he doesn't actually
When we see
know.
the staff of the cemetery next movie, it's like, yeah, I can buy that he would just lie about that.
The implication was that in the 6th movie, and this was cut from that, it's in the novel, but Elias Voorhees, who is Jason's dad, paid so Jason's body would not be cremated, that he would get a proper burial, and that was the whole idea. He paid the caretaker at the cemetery in the next movie to like watch over his grave and everything like that. He was like underhandingly
I believe
paid.
it was there were storyboards for it. I believe they got really far into it, but like they just cut it out, and it's fair. I probably wouldn't have liked that. It seems a bit too like out of nowhere.
It's weird to get Jason's dad involved, considering like that's not what this story is. You know what I mean?
Even then, so but this scene is pretty much pointless, because if the sheriff had come back later, maybe, but like this scene is pretty much goes nowhere.
So I want you to I want to do a little bit of a scene here, JL. So imagine that you are the mayor, and you have come to me, the chief of police, and asking about these 4 horrible homicides that have occurred.
5 horrible homicides.
It was a dead guy. Jason Voorhees did it.
You're
I already
fired.
figured it out. Yeah, exactly.
You are fucking crazy.
Imagine that. Imagine like, who killed these guys? I know who it is. Well, who is it? It was Ed Gein. All right, you're fired. We need to find another chief of police.
Frederick Krueger.
It was Fred Krueger. It was I don't know, John Wayne Gacy.
Okay, now you're just pulling at straws here. Next, you're gonna tell me it was the fucking Leatherface or something.
But seriously, like, the sheriff is so convinced, and it's once again though, if you're watching this first time, you're like, oh, the sheriff is the smart guy. It is actually Jason. We know it's Jason because we know Jason is like, he comes back from the dead and shit. But like in the universe, claiming it's a dead person is kind of crazy.
Yeah, but then I'm also like, okay, sheriff, so what are you gonna do with that information? What are you gonna do with it? Where are you going with this?
Yeah. That's what I mean. It's almost like setting up, like, because he tells him, like, your ass is on the line, Tucker. That's the sheriff's name. It's just like, your ass is on the line. If you don't get results, you're fired. And Tucker kind of looks like serious. He like throws the ashtray at the door after the sheriff leaves. After the mayor leaves. And that's it. That's all we see of the sheriff up until the very end of the movie, when he just kind of explains everything. So I guess the sheriff might have had like a subplot maybe that got cut. I don't know, but
it'd be funnier if he was just like, you know what, I quit. And he shows up later, just like, yeah, I'm just dressing up like this. I have no other clothes.
Yeah, it could be like the sheriff. You could have had like the sheriff going to like, to like investigating a little bit to figure out like through that subplot. It didn't have to be long, but it could just be showing like, is Jason Voorhees really dead? Like, did he get fucking cremated? What's going on with this? And then maybe we could learn a little bit more in the backstory.
And then we get Elias Voorhees showing up, and he's like, my son, Jason.
My son.
I've been paying this random drunk to, make sure he's not cremated.
Well, if you need something taken care of on the down low, you probably would pay like just pay him in booze, and he'll do whatever
apparently,
you say.
He could rebury like that entire area in part 6. He just he dug that grave back down. He dug that whole thing pretty quick.
Old man Marvin, or Martin, I think his name was. He knows how to dig a grave. Old grave digging.
Oh
Marvin.
yes he can. But we'll go on to
next
probably
scene.
the most famous. Well, I mean the most famous kill. But first we have to discuss the scene itself.
So it's Tina and Eddie going off into the woods, and they get it on in the woods.
Very, very long, very inappropriate as it gets and I'm not like a squeamish guy when it comes to stuff like this, but after a while I'm like, Okay, so when are we cutting
It,
away?
it was directed. This is where you realize the guy that directed this movie did a few porns in his day. It's like, yeah, this is the reason he's here directing this movie, is because of this scene.
Apparently,
Yeah.
like Steinman, like from what I've heard, was like how he directed the scene was yelling at the actors saying,
Oh
"Come
God,
on,
this.
F her,
Yeah,
F her
yeah.
harder, F her, grab her tits."
Yeah, and just shouting in the background like all this like horrible shit, which would just get him canceled today.
And this was the first day of shooting, actually, and it was
Yeah.
Frank Mancuso Jr. actually was like, okay, maybe we shouldn't hire this guy after this. He was apparently not happy with how Steinman was acting.
I think the editor was leaning into Frank Mancuso Jr. and was like, "How do you want me to edit this? How could I possibly make this like an R-rated movie and not like this is straight up like porn?" And Frank Mancuso Jr. just takes him in a hold and just says, "Shoot it like a Pepsi commercial." And make it look like a Pepsi commercial, I guess. I'm like, all right.
I don't see how that correlates, but you know, Frank, if you're on cocaine too, I get it. But
yeah, I mean, I probably not anymore, but in his
probably.
younger years.
But
yeah.
And as we're speaking of this, Raymond is just standing there very awkwardly.
Yes, Raymond the Drifter is just creepily watching these two have sex. And then he gets stabbed by the mysterious assailant.
The fairy, and I'm just like, okay, this is definitely because if it was a red herring, I feel like we would have kept him around longer. This feels like way too quick.
Yeah, maybe they just needed extra. Well, I think there was a thing the director was like, there has to be a kill in this movie like every 8 minutes or something like that. And by the way, the body count of this movie is absurd. It is like almost 24 on-screen kills.
It does get absurd, but when
22.
But most of them are like very simple ones.
Yeah, simple and like dream sequences, but 22 kills, which is like, I don't know if it's the most out of any Friday the 13th.
No, that's Jason X.
I was going to say, if you include all of the off-screen kills when Jason causes a spaceship to ram into a station that kills like 500 people.
Jason, you created Space 9/11. No.
Yeah. If you don't consider that as an actual kill, then it's a pretty high body.
Yeah, but so you know, good old Eddie walks off and without his shirt, and there's just a really long, very long, and just staring at Tina, and it's like after a while,
it's just a long topless scene with Tina on a blanket. And she's just looking up at the trees, and it's just like, this is nice. And then, boom, Jason comes in with a pair of garden shears.
And this reminded me of The Burning a little bit, which came out a few years before with Tom Savini doing that one too. So, but well, he didn't do this, but obviously that was just one of those things where I was like, I kind of like that they don't show it. I like the idea of it, like thinking about it piercing her eyes and stuff like that. I don't need to see it.
Yeah, if you don't have the special effects, you don't have to show everything. You could just So, once again, I mean, in terms of kills, like garden shears in the eyes,
not bad.
It's pretty all right. I mean, there you go. That's a unique kill, if nothing else. But nothing, I think, tops the following kill. That is probably the most unique kill in this whole movie. It probably one of the whole franchise.
I love that kill. I love this following up kill. But first, we get Eddie just. What is he doing? He's just fucking throwing rocks. He's downsing them.
He's just like washing. He said, "I'm gonna go wash my face in the dank creek water that's just hanging out over."
I'm not gonna hang out with you, you know, my girlfriend.
Look, I live out in the country. I've been fishing before, and there's a lot of places where you go out in the woods to fish that I wouldn't want to just splash water in my face. But whatever.
Matt, this exact scenario has happened to you several times, obviously. Of course, yes. Of course. But so he just starts walking back. He grabs like a stick for some reason, just starts hitting. So, and I do that too, but still, it's like, really, dude.
It's like, hey, they had to cut so much violence out. They had to include some stuff that just whatever.
But yeah, he goes on, and you know, he's like, "Oh, Tina," you know, and then he's like, "Oh my God, you're dead," and then he falls back into a tree, and
he falls. He jumps back into a tree. The same tree that Jason is waiting behind, throws a strap, like a leather strap, around his head perfectly, puts a stick in the strap, and then twists the whole thing until his head pops.
Yeah, so one thing I will note during this is in the middle of the scene, I think they might have either reversed... No, they didn't reverse the footage, but it's doing it the wrong way.
Yeah, he's doing it counterclockwise.
So it's like,
yeah.
oh, well, no, oh, my eyes are loosened up. Okay, I can get out of this. But apparently, this scene was, as you say earlier, is basically used as like a bargaining chip with the censors. But unfortunately, Tina's actress went through it a bit worse with the fake blood in her eyes, apparently being very irritating when she died.
Yeah, you hear about that a lot. Like a lot of times when actresses get like, the blood in their eyes from like a blood spray that's not supposed to be there. And in this case, she had like a thing over her eyes and then had blood poured on it, and it went right through the fabric, and just standing there with burning eyes all day.
Yeah, and that's the old Dick
sucks.
Smith technique, which was actually kind of toxic. So it was, that's why.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff back in the day was probably going to give you some severe.
Yeah, because in
problems.
part 1, I mean, like that guy went blind.
Yeah.
But so that's a really good kill. I like it a lot. I wish it was like fully uncensored so we could have seen, because there's a lot of info about the makeup effects on this, but like still, I would have liked to see it. But
it's a pretty unique kill. It's a cool way to kill somebody. Does it make sense? Like, very particular. That setup had to be great. But
yeah, no,
sure.
it's of course Jason's teleportation powers. Which this Jason definitely has.
Oh, yeah. I think when you become crazy, you just unlock superpowers in the Friday the 13th.
Well, that's in every movie, of course. But
yes.
Then we get on to the demon. So...
so it's nighttime now.
Pam's going off with Reggie, and Tommy's tagging along, and they're going to go meet up with Reggie's brother, Demon, played by Miguel Nunez Jr.,
I love Miguel Nunez, also a Return of the Living Dead.
I love him in that film, and he was actually homeless when they shot that.
Yeah, he was homeless when he shot it.
And I believe he was still homeless when this was shot, because it was shot around the same time. Yeah,
it's the same year. They came out the same year. Probably filming these like side by side. His outfit looks very similar to his outfit as Spider in Return of the Living Dead, just like a punk kind of character.
And he did all his own makeup and wardrobe and such like this, and he. He's really great in this. I really love him. But his girlfriend Anita is also there. And in my notes, I just wrote down, Demon and Anita are cute. I wrote that down.
They're a nice couple. They're a good couple.
And then, of course, Demon, as a gentleman, starts offering food. And he says, you want egg roll, taco, cheese and sausage, slice of pizza? And I'm like, Jesus, fuck.
Where is he getting? Does he just keep all of these random fast food items in his van? His cool stoner 80s
it looks like
van?
he's keeping them on the floor. I'm like, Jesus, dude.
Yeah, he's like, you want some floor pizza?
A floor egg roll?
Wait, JL, are you too good for floor pizza?
No, I prefer my floor egg roll, please.
Floor egg roll. Oh my God, I got some Chinese noodles here from like a couple days ago at the Chinese place I went to. Couple states back.
But I mean, like, the best thing would just be, okay, so this is JL, the face reveal video, eating slices of pizza off the floor. This will be great.
There's a nice scene here, though, where he honestly cares about his little brother. Like, they have a good relationship. They just don't see each other very much. And Demon gives Reggie like one of his rings. And it's like, oh, okay, well, at least, like, because Reggie survives this, and at the end of this, maybe he has that ring, and he can, like a little memento.
I did always think, like, I thought it was going to come back in some way. I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah, he, like, punches Jason with the ring.
God.
That the Friday the 13th movies are they're too simplistic to have a nice little moment like that. That would have been nice.
But so Junior shows up. And Junior's, yelling at Tommy, and they get into a fight, and more like just Tommy just beating the absolute shit out of him.
Oh, he does some judo shit with him. He like grabs his arm and like pins it from behind him, and he's like karate chopping and shit.
And I'm like, what mental state hospital were you at, Tommy? Is this just part of
the mental hospital he was at had like karate lessons on the weekends?
It's
or
like
something.
a mental institution for kicking ass. It's like, and then and Tommy, has a bit of a sweat fest again. He runs off, and Pam and Reggie go after him. And this will lead into one of the greatest scenes of all time. Those damn enchiladas. The
enchiladas.
As Demon goes to take a shit.
And once again, like, Tommy's gone, so like, is he the killer? He's unaccounted for when these two people die. So
I mean, it's more like Pam and Reggie are really bad at looking for Tommy. I mean, like, they didn't.
Yeah, he just runs off, and they get into a truck and just drive back to Pinehurst. And like, well,
It's
we
like,
couldn't find him.
Jesus, you guys are really shit at this. He just ran like 20 feet.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how far the trailer park is from the hospital, but not very far apparently. But anyway, yeah. Before we get into this scene, have you ever looked up the video on YouTube called Disco Enchiladas?
I love that.
Oh, it's so good. I learned about it from where everybody learned about it from the Dead Meat episode. James A. Janice. But like, yeah, that's such. I just listened to it like right before I filmed this. It was so good.
Baby,
ooh, baby, ooh,
totally
baby.
Not like awkward improv, but kind of cute too. I like it.
Yeah, once again, lots of improv in this movie, and they just like keep going on with it. And then Tina gets her throat slit. Anita, sorry, gets her throat slit. Yeah. And then she just kind of dies off screen. Demon dies in a pretty shitty way.
And
like
shitty,
you're in an outhouse,
it's
a
an
crappy outhouse.
So you said shitty, nice. But the weirder thing is when Jason's like shaking up the outhouse, and then Demon takes off his belt and says, "Now you're gonna get it, bitch." And I'm like, Jesus, is Demon?
Oh,
it's
that's
like, right. That was so out of nowhere. I was like, what the fuck's up with you?
Yeah. Really, where is
like,
this guy?
God, I don't know. That one really took me out of it because I was like, that's so out of nowhere.
I forgot about that scene. Yeah, that little side thing where it's just like, hey, I'm gonna belt you. It's like,
and then he's trying to get out, and what's blocking the door? My girlfriend. Oh no,
my girlfriend's corpse.
And so he goes back into the fucking shit house. I'm just gonna call it that, and stabbed through the wall. It's just.
Yeah, he also didn't get a chance to even wipe his ass.
Ew.
Like, died with a shitty ass, and then just gets like a post ran through the outhouse, and he just gets stabbed.
Well,
and
his belt's off, so his pants are probably going to fall down, and when they find his body, it'll just be, it'll be great. It'll be a great way to find him. But
ooh, baby, ooh, baby.
That's what they'll play at his funeral.
Yeah, I would love to have Disco Enchiladas play at my funeral. Anybody look that up on YouTube. Just type in Friday the 13th Disco Enchiladas. You will not be
it's one of the greatest things humanity's ever made. But yeah, so I did write down in my notes, Anita, her throat, she clearly still has a pulse. And
oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it takes a while to die. You don't die immediately when you get your throat slit. I did notice.
Yeah, but Tina also had one earlier. Like that one's a bit more egregious, where you could see her breathing in and out. And I think the editor was really quickly trying to be like, okay, cut it, so it doesn't notice it. But it's like, yeah, it's kind of clear. She was definitely.
Oh, the poor editor in this movie.
God, I hope he.
Being handed this material and like make this R-rated, but also make the continuity make sense. It's like, I'm not magic. CGI doesn't exist yet. It's the 80s.
Then just CG a better director.
The budget for this movie was only like $2 million, and it made like $22 million, which is like not as much as like the others, but like still really good. I mean, it still definitely warrants.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's really profitable. It's not like the Nightmare on Elm Street series where like that does cost more because of the special effects. So the return on investment's a bit different there. With Friday, it's a bit more simplistic in terms of the kills. They're not as special effects heavy. So you could do some.
I mean, like, you can see why there's just so many of them. It's just like, hey, we make a $2 million movie, we get $20 million back. That's like, that's good. Let's just keep doing that shit until it's not made.
Yeah, and their A24 is apparently with a prequel series that's actually coming, being developed right now.
Yeah, that'll be out hopefully soon.
So maybe we'll do a review on that when that comes out. But
when that
hopefully.
comes out.
But yeah, so we get Junior riding back around his house, and he's just screaming his head off and yelling, "He hit me, Mama!
Ma, he hit me!" And then Ethel's just in the house, like, "Would you just come in here and eat your stew?"
It's like, what the fuck are you making, Ethel? Like, Jesus.
Now, this scene is really like, okay, so they mount the camera on the motorcycle. So Junior's riding around, you get like a headshot of him just riding around. And this is like a $50,000 camera.
Oh no.
And like the director goes over to the actor that played Junior and is like, if you trash this bike, Jason's not going to kill you. I will, because this is like $50,000.
Yeah, and then he grabbed his thing of cocaine, just started snorting it and being like, "I will kill you."
Yeah. Every scene is cocaine scene. But yeah, so he's riding around in the yard, and what happens?
His head gets chopped off, and apparently it was going to hit a few times on the ground, but that was cut out. It's kind of like the Jango Fett
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That head bounced too many times. That's like, if a head bounces 3 times, that's an X rating. Only 1 time.
Exactly.
R-rating.
And also, you can't show somebody get stabbed and be like, this is too much for these little children that are definitely watching this R-rated movie. Like, God.
Yep.
But, yeah, so he did, and then Ethel, she's like, oh, thank God he's stopped. And then, she's then making her stew, and cleaver to the face suddenly happens.
Cleaver to the face, and it's so quick. It's just Cleaver shatters through the window, hits her. You don't even really get to see it hit her, and then her face falls into the stew. And it's like that scene was cut like so many times, and
but it's
tell.
Also made me think of something. Where does this Jason keep all of his like killing equipment on him? Like, where's all this shit coming from?
When you get crazy, you unlock pocket space, and you could just keep like it's like a video game. It's like a Zelda inventory.
Yeah, it's the guy. It's flamenco. It's like. What the
yeah, it's the pocket fruit. It's just you have infinite space. You could just pull stuff out of like meat cleaver, axe,
he had like a spear earlier when he stabbed Demon. It's like, where the fuck were you keeping that?
Now, okay, that I think was just a random piece of scrap metal he found lying around the trailer park. That one's not too unbelievable. But yeah, he does switch out with weapons very quickly.
And when we see him later, I mean, like that jumpsuit. I don't think you're gonna be keeping a lot of stuff on you like that.
Yeah, no, it's a boiler suit, but yeah, he doesn't have a bag. It would be funny if Jason he's walking around with a duffel bag filled with weapons, or like Art the Clown with like a giant murder sack.
I
just like a trash bag filled with weapons.
Yeah, that would be more funny. But with that, we go back to the Pinehurst.
Yes, for the final kind of act as it starts, and a lot of people die, and so Matt and George have just left. Matt apparently left to go find Tina and Eddie. Don't idea fucking what happened to George. I guess George just wandered off.
Yeah, I'm confused why they went off for Tina and Eddie, because it's like by what they know, they just went off to to go see Demon. They said that earlier.
I could. No, Tina and Eddie.
Oh no, Tina and Eddie. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So like, I can understand Matt going out. Like, these are the kids that he's like responsible for, and they're not back, and it's dark, and it's like, okay, I got to go find them. It wouldn't make any sense for George to come with him, though, because George is just the cook, and it's like, maybe you should stay here and watch the kids. But so he literally just wanders off. We see him murdered later by Jason. We don't know what happened. So, like, this is where it gets, like, Jason kills, like Pam and Reggie drive back from the trailer park. Then Jason kills Anita and Demon. Then goes all the way back to Ethel's house, kills Ethel and Junior, then goes into the woods to kill Matt and George off screen. Like, where, like, he can teleport. He can fucking teleport.
Okay, so either he can teleport or there are 3 Jasons. It's like the 3 Joker storyline. People will get pissed at it, but it's real. Look it up. But it's like, I'm like, what is this? But, so Jake, the stuttering guy, is like, he tries to get with Robin. And, he's stuttering. He's like, I would like to make love to you. And she...
Which, not a great opening line. That's not the best way you could do that, man, to break the ice.
I would like to fuck you. That'd be probably a bit worse with the stutter. But she unfortunately laughs at him.
Oh, which by the way, it's like that meme. It's like the worst that she could say is no, and then just like it's either ew or she laughs in your face.
And Robin, I recognize because she's in Slumber Party Massacre too.
Yes, she's in Slumber,
which is what that one is a weird one. It's a fun weird one, but like
I don't think I've ever watched that one all the way through. I think I've just
have to because it's got a demon from the dream world, not Freddy, and he's a rock star.
Yeah, I know about the murder guitar. I know that exists.
And it's like the correlation with the first film is like non-existent, but who cares?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But so we got our basically like killable cast all lined up. It's like you got Jake, who's like a stuttering dude that lives there. That's his whole character. Then Robin, which we don't really know what Robin's situation is, like why she's at this halfway house. We don't know anything really
I'm more
about
confused.
her. And then there's Violet, who's a goth, and that's I guess the reason she's there is she's goth. I guess.
Jake, I'm like, he stutters. I don't know if that warrants going to a halfway house.
That I guess he ended up in a mental institution because of something. And then same thing with like Robin. They all have very similar backstories. We just
Yeah, but like at the same place as like
So-
Vic, it's like that's a bit of a
Yeah, Vic clearly had some anger management
Clearly.
issues and like violent tendencies. That's why he's there. Joey was just like a ward of the state. Maybe Robin had a similar backstory. I'm not really
but
sure.
so Jake goes off and he's crying a little bit and cleavers to the face. And
Boom.
I would just say, I guess it's the same one that he used on Ethel, and I'm like, geez, dude, you're gonna claim that? I guess not, but
Yeah, the cleaver gets a lot of use in this movie.
But
now, Robin's death scene. There are so many problems with this. Did you notice this?
I did. Can you point it out to me before I say anything?
So, she goes into her bedroom and she gets ready to go to bed and she sleeps in a bunk bed and she goes all the way up into the top bunk. She lays down and it's a bunk bed. It's not big. It's not like a queen-sized bunk bed. It's just a single bed on top of another single bed. She gets in there, she turns, and she sees Jake's entire dead body in there and she doesn't notice it until just then. And there's a scene where you see her climbing into the bed, and Jake's body is
My
not
question is, who's sleeping in this bedroom with her? Because it's not Violet.
I think Tina.
Okay, well, Tina. Okay, that makes more sense. That because I would have.
Yeah, that's the only person it
would have
could
been
be.
funnier if it was Jake, and it's just like, okay, let's go to.
Yeah. Oh
let's go to
God.
bed.
No, I'm assuming. So Violet had her own room. Tommy ended up with his own room too. I guess when you're the new guy, I guess you get the automatic. Yeah. I also question like, do Matt and Pam and George like live there too? I guess they would have. Now, have you played Friday the 13th the game? The Pinehurst house is huge. They actually make it a really big house that has like a bunch of different rooms.
It's crazy.
So
it's just one of those things where I'm like, it's one of those, yeah, you gotta be like, oh wait, no. So also I did write down, apparently the actress for playing Robin had agreed to do a nude shot. It was supposed to be like really quick because the lightning would flash and like, you would see her chest.
Yeah, no, this is not like a quick scene.
Apparently it was because on the day Steinman was like, okay, take it off, and she couldn't talk to her lawyer because they were on set. So
yeah, Steinman was a pretty big piece of shit in some of these shots, for sure.
He said he did not agree with Crystal Lake Memories. He said all he said was like, I made this movie with a little bit of money and I made a lot of money, and a lot of people called me a lot of bad things on that, and I don't agree with it. It doesn't say anything else.
Well, there's also a reason. Well, yeah, I mean, he's dead now, but also there's a reason why this is the last movie he ever directed. He didn't direct it
because obviously, The Last House on the Left 2 would have been his magnum opus because he talks about it like
maybe it would have been. I don't know. We can't. I mean, look into like a parallel world and see what's going on over there.
He talks about it in interviews being like, yeah, no. So the big deal was Last House on the Left 2, not Friday the 13th. It's like,
well, that could also always be a thing where it's like, hey, I could have done this really cool thing that could have made me famous, but it was taken away from me. So it's like you're gonna like linger on that. You're gonna be rather bitter about that. Like, then again, you could have made Last House on the Left 2 and it could have sucked, and you would have been like, it's like, oh, okay, I didn't do anything.
Well, with that, we get a copy of Kevin Bacon's death from part 1.
Yes. Yeah, so she gets into the bunk bed. Jason's in the below bunk, doesn't notice a 6-foot-tall man just
like,
in the bed below her. Gets into a bed, doesn't notice a dead body in the bed with her, and then she gets stabbed from below.
I think I know why
bed.
she was put in this fucking halfway camp, because she doesn't notice anybody. She's got no peripheral goddamn vision.
Yeah, maybe she has no peripheral vision at all, or no awareness of anything around her.
She's just like, wait a minute, what's this substance on my hands? Wait a minute, it's red like paint. Wait a minute, it's blood. What? It's like
It's an entire dead body in your bed. Like, you just don't know. Has this ever happened to you, JL? You just get into bed at night and you just like, oh wait, there's a corpse in my bed.
Well,
I
several
did not
times,
notice.
but I noticed them because I put them there. So
yeah, you put the
exactly.
there,
I'm like that guy from Maniac.
But anyway, yeah. So yeah, Jake dies. Then Robin dies. Pam went off to go find people. Reggie's asleep downstairs on the couch. Violet is the last one that's like the kids in the house to get murdered.
And Violet is so apparently she made up the dance to this.
She made up the dance, and she brought
Yeah.
in the song. That's the song she brought.
And she was apparently on acid during the premiere of this. So, honestly, I can see that.
I can see that. I can see that.
But, so this kill was apparently going to be a lot worse. And so some people are like, oh, we never shot this. Others are like, we did shoot this. It just didn't make it. And
I saw they showed it in the documentary, I think, the promotional footage of the makeup. Jason hacks her with a machete in the movie, and in the actual kill, it was supposed to be a lot lower. She was supposed to be, like, leaning back, and then he hits her.
And, we're not going to talk about that imagery, but...
Yeah, you could just assume where it is. But, like, there was, like, a makeup thing
so in place, we get, like, a really obvious pillow, and it's like... it's lame, but it's better than what we could have gotten, which would have just been like, it's not fun, it's just mean-spirited. I would not have liked to see that.
R.I.P. Violet, the original 1980s goth. She was the original goth.
Yes,
JL.
goth GF, please. But
so
but
everybody's dead at this point except for Reggie and Pam. And we don't know where Tommy's
And where
at
could
right
George
now.
and Matt
Reggie
be?
wakes up. Imagine being a little kid waking up on the couch in the middle of the night. Because that happened to me a lot. I'd be watching movies at night, probably horror movies. Wake up at like 2 a.m., like sleepy, like time to go upstairs and go to bed. And he sees a pile of corpses in Tommy's room.
which is one of those things where I'm like, okay, well, that's clever enough to be like, to put them in Tommy's room. But then I also question, wait a minute, if it was Tommy, why would he put them in his room?
Well, he just wants to advertise that he's the killer.
To be like, it was me. You couldn't have guessed it without...
He has to take the credit.
Nobody
for
guessed it from now, seriously? I just made it obvious for everybody. But yeah, and he gives like the greatest scream of all time. That's fucking ear-shattering.
Yep.
And goddamn Pam runs in and just grabs him very aggressively and said, "It's me. It's just Pam. It's me." It's like,
it's Pam. It's me.
Jesus.
What's wrong? It's me.
Stop
it's Pam. And it's just like,
crazy white woman, stop it.
Go in there and look
It's
and
like,
see.
yeah, and I remember that being like, okay, first off, you're very bad with kids. That's his entire movie. You've not shown me any skills of being good with children. But so she walks into the room, and it's a weird shot because I thought it would have been like, with how it's positioned, it makes it look like somebody was going to walk out of there like Jason. I don't know. That made me think like, oh, she's just going to be dead. It's like, nope. It's like, well, why was the shot like with the door? Like, we don't see her reaction.
Well, once again, like we don't know how long it took from like Reggie, like Violet getting murdered to Reggie waking up, but like the implication is, Jason takes all the bodies, throws them in Tommy's room, arranges them in that like tableau,
and then hides,
and then leaves the house, and then waits for things to happen. I guess.
And with that, she freaks out. We don't see her scream. I guess it was too much to show this woman screaming. It would have been too much for the audience, so we don't see it. However, she runs out, holding Reggie. Like, we gotta get the fuck out of here. They go down the stairs, and Reggie trips, and I'm like, Jesus, kid.
Yes.
And then she's basically like, it looks like she's trying to help him up, but it more looks like she's like pushing him down and being like, get up.
Yeah, really. And she's like, come on, we're going.
Get the fuck up. And
then a door explodes.
Yeah, it doesn't burst. That motherfucker explodes.
JL, how many times have you just, like, as a normal human, shoulder checked a door so hard it explodes?
Well, I always try that, and you know what happens? It doesn't.
Yeah. So once again, like, if you're watching this for the first time, you'd be like, that has to be Jason. It doesn't make any sense for a normal human to be able to do that.
It's like, what the fuck's up with this? And it's so ridiculous to me, because you'll question it later as stuff happens, but it's like, okay, so yeah, this is Jason. Can't be anything else. What else would it be?
He bursts in, and we see him. This is the first time we see him in all of his glory.
I don't hate the design.
Wearing the suit, No, I actually like the blue triangles on the mask because I like the color blue, so it actually works fine for me.
I think it was my favorite Jason to use in the game. I use that one a lot.
Yeah. I love how in the game they made it like you could play in a green set of overalls or a blue set of overalls, because in the movie it is a green pair of overalls, but because they use blue lighting for everything,
it does look very blue.
So that's like a contentious thing. Like, are they blue or green? It's like that dress thing. You know, it is like, is that a gold or blue dress?
I prefer it to be blue just because I think it matches the chevrons. But so we get Jason, and is played by Tom Morgan, who played Leatherface during the bridge scene of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. which is great movie.
Yes.
Love it. And Michael Myers in the fourth Halloween movie when he's in the bandages. And
Yes. So there's actually two people. Well, I guess three if you include Roy, but Roy's not actually doing the stunts as Jason. There's also a dude named John Hawk who plays Jason in the opening scene when he's in the coffin in the dream sequence.
so I'm guessing that was just because it was like
Yeah.
we got to get to Corey's house, and it's probably was like it was a far away enough. Yeah.
Yeah, it might have been reshoots, but he also very crucially the scene where he's falling out of the barn at the end of the movie, like the actual scene where you see a guy falling off of the barn, that is
Yeah, because
John
like
Hawk.
at first I thought that was a dummy, but it's like no, that's a guy.
No, that was real dude.
Dangerous,
Yeah.
but it's just
Yeah. Well, that's why I guess the actual stuntman was like, I know a guy that could do this. I know a guy that could fall off of a barn. Let me call
very
John
specific trait, but yes. And so Pam and Reggie run away, and as they do so, apparently, Pam's sweater, it just disappears. Unfortunately, it dissolves with the rain.
Yeah, there's a continuity issue with that.
And it's like, I guess it's allergic to the rain until it's not. And yeah, so they find they find an ambulance, and it's like, oh yeah, we can get out of here. We can drive this thing. I guess they're probably also just like a shelter.
Yeah.
And Duke falls out. Oh no, Duke. Oh yeah, Duke.
Duke, the random paramedic that chewed bubblegum, that was his character trait. Yeah, that
and
was
he's an
that was
asshole
it.
towards children.
So yeah, and then Jason shows up. So they run out of the house, down a hillside, over to the ambulance, and then Jason's already there. It's like he pops up from the other side of the ambulance, like, gotcha.
Gotcha, bitch.
Like,
but it's like, I guess it's like teleportation at this point. It's absurd.
it has to be. It's ridiculous. Like, once again, he's either teleportation or knows exactly where they're going to be and how they're going to get there, and he could take the absolute direct route. Yeah,
because it's not even it's not even like the sequels where it's like he's a zombie at that point, so you can kind of be like, maybe that's where he gets it. But it's like, where the fuck does this happen? It's not even really. Well, I won't spoil that because obviously we've been very subtle about it this whole podcast.
I mean, we've been very subtle about who the killer is in this entire thing.
But very very kind of fake scream from Pam, and then Reggie gives a much scarier scream, and Reggie runs off, just fucking abandons her. Honestly, smartest move.
I mean, hey, you gotta every man for himself, at this point, just like I'm not dying.
I'm the youngest kid in here.
Reggie can run faster.
Exactly, than this adult woman. Jesus, you suck. But yeah. So and then as they're running through, they find Duke's body. Wait, no, not Duke. Matthew's body.
Matthew, Matt and George kind of make an appearance. Like, so Matt at some point had a railroad spike.
I would have liked to see that. All right. Okay. God.
Yeah, and then I think Pam makes it back to the house briefly, and then George, the cook, Reggie's grandfather, just gets thrown through a window with his eyes gouged out. So it's like, okay, I guess he died
which is
too.
Questioning.
Maybe he died while going out to get a sack of potatoes or something that Jason just.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like referencing part one where thrown through the window, but it's also like, why did he do it? I don't get it. Why didn't you just like why did you throw him through the window? That's my question. What's your game here?
You never know. Just you want to scare people, I guess. Like, once again, Jason knew exactly where Pam was and was just like, I have a couple extra bodies I can throw through.
We also haven't addressed this. Why the fuck are you walking, Jason? Fake Jason, what the fuck you doing? Are you getting so into the role that you're just like, what the fuck's happening? But
he's very. I would assume at this point the guy has been. Roy is so crazy that he's just like, I am Jason. I'm gonna like copy all of the mannerisms.
Who's Roy? I don't know this person. You're talking crazy, Tekking.
Yeah, it's not Roy. Who couldn't possibly.
It's Raymond.
Roy.
He's still alive somehow. He stabbed himself.
Yeah.
But yeah. So she keeps tripping, and apparently the actress was not. She didn't like this, and apparently Steinman was just like, I came up with it after she slipped in the mud, like actually slipped in the mud. And he was like, yeah, I came up with that, and I thought it would be a good idea. So we just hosed her down. It's like,
it's not as bad as like the scene in part 4 where like that one girl almost had like hypothermia from being in like the boat.
Yeah,
for so
that
long.
one's way worse.
I think the actress that played Pam the way I've had it described is maybe she felt like this was going to be like a different kind of production, like more
Yeah.
high budget, and she was going to be like treated more as like a the
Like a
leading,
human being.
like, woman in the movie. Yeah, like a human being. Well, like I heard a story, and I have no idea if this is just in the documentary. Like, she expected to be picked up every day in a limousine and be taken to set and like that kind of stuff. And it's like, that's not happening on a budget of $2 million.
You're fucking
on
crazy,
a movie, you know?
But
Yeah. So I don't know how true that is, or if it's like she really was like maybe that like pretentious or something. I'm not sure.
you know, as she's fallen down again. I think she falls down like 3 times, and she's like, oh no, and then Reggie comes into the rescue with a tractor.
Best scene in the movie. Best scene in the movie. Reggie bursts out of the barn with a front loader and just runs into Jason, which is a practical stunt they actually
very dangerous
did.
And also, where the fuck did you get those keys?
Very dangerous, but damn, it looked. I mean, I'm sure he knows where all they are and everything. Maybe they just kept him in the tractor because they probably didn't expect this to happen. Like, so yeah, he just bursts out of the barn and runs Jason over, and I'm just standing there like, dude, maybe just park the thing on top of Jason. You got those giant tires. Just park the thing on top of Jason.
And then, Jason dodges out of the way in a pretty funny, like, if you just look at it, it's...
I mean, he doesn't dodge out of the way. He gets hit
the second
square
time,
on.
I think. Doesn't he dodge out of the way, or am I just tripping?
No. They burst out. He bursts out of the barn in the front loader, hits Jason dead on, and he gets knocked like 20 feet back.
Oh,
onto the
yeah.
ground. And then Reggie just turns off the front
He's
loader.
genius.
At that
Don't worry
point.
about
Like,
it. He's
okay.
being smart.
Yeah. And then Pam hugs him like, it's over, Reggie. It's over. It's like, maybe you should turn that thing back on and just like
in case. I know you don't know the meta of being like in a horror movie, but still, it's like, still, I would not buy that would have killed him, or at least incapacitated him.
Yeah, I mean, like a normal human, sure, but even then, like,
you saw him explode through a door,
kind of
not even just walk through it. You saw him explode through it.
Yeah, he just like hit it with his shoulder and
Exactly.
it blew up.
But
anyway,
they run off into the barn with Jason walking after them. Why is he walking?
Yeah. I mean, he did just get hit with a tractor, so that might have like slowed him down a touch.
But and then.
Hey man, remember in part 2 and 3, Jason did get hurt. Like he gets kicked in the balls by Ginny in part 2. He gets stabbed in the leg by Chris in part 3, and he does limp around a little bit.
Yeah,
so,
but this is also Jason, fake Jason. This is diet Jason, you know.
Hey, Jason, here's the thing. Jason in parts 2, 3, and 4, maybe you could argue in part 4 he was already kind of zombie. But Jason in parts 2 and 3 is a human. Like, it's not even debatable, and he's able to take all this damage. So, he's a human, Roy's a human. It's like, there you go, I guess. If you get crazy, you get superpowers.
Yeah,
That's
but, like, Jason lived in the woods for years, and he was, like, fucking...
So what, like, living in the woods makes you immune to getting hit by a tractor?
That's the movie's argument, so it's my argument.
Yeah, there you go.
But, so he's looking around, like throughout the barn, and it's like, why are you taking so long? The fake Jason, you're being a bit weird with this. And then fucking Pam just comes out of the goddamn cupboard with a chainsaw.
With a chainsaw, which a weapon Jason never uses, but everybody thinks that he uses.
I believe Kane Hodder said in an interview, he was like, Jason unfortunately never really uses a lot of electric stuff except for the weed whacker. The tree trimmer in part 7. Which, got cut, unfortunately. But,
yeah, I mean, you see it, but, like, the murder got cut. Anyway, so... Yeah, it's a duel with Pam and a chainsaw and Jason. He gets shredded in the arm with a chainsaw. And then he's also
blocking it, though, with the machete. It's like, Jesus.
Oh, it's like Duel of the Fates level shit. It's like...
Yeah. But it's so weird where it's basically... I believe, doesn't it? It just turns off, doesn't it? Runs out of gas.
Yeah, it chokes or whatever. It just runs out of gas, of course, at the worst possible time. Hey, Pam, you should have you stabbed him in the arm. You really should have went for it. But then after that, it gets jammed.
I would have just kept using it.
She just throws it at him and then runs
what
away.
What the fuck you doing? Keep using it. Just keep hitting him. It's like way heavier than him, and he's caught off guard. But anyway, as they're escaping, who shows up? But Tommy Jarvis. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Yeah, so this is where you realize if you are guessing it isn't really Jason and it's somebody else, it at least isn't Tommy. Oh, dude, what if they did a twist where it was like Jason's like Tommy's hallucinations made
Oh
manifest like
my
created
god,
in Jason. Like this is the same year I think. Oh, this is the same year after right after Nightmare on Elm Street came out. So maybe
I can take it back, Jason, and turns around and he turns into Sparkles. And it's like, oh,
yeah, there you go.
But
That'd be
yeah,
funny.
like, and then Jason starts coming after Tommy, and I'm like, okay, I guess like from a meta perspective, if you don't know still, and if you're like, oh, it must be just real Jason, then I guess he would go after Tommy because it's like you killed me.
Yeah, well, he's standing right there. He's an easy target. He's not even moving.
Yeah, that's my next thing, and I get it. He is traumatized, but
oh, he's having a hallucination. He's having like a panic attack, so he's not really moving. He's like, Jason, don't.
But
Jason, please.
From a meta perspective, Tommy hasn't really done shit throughout this whole movie.
No, not really. I think they might have lent into him. I was actually going back and looking through it. Like, it would have been interesting if at one point you had Tommy like open up to Pam and talk about like maybe what happened to Trish and what happened to his family. Like, I was kind of waiting for that scene, and it's like it doesn't happen. And I think the whole reason is because they were so dead set on him like being a contender to being the murderer. It's like, maybe don't do stuff like that.
Yeah,
like,
it just feels a bit too. Also, I think it was probably just Simon being like, I don't want to really focus on the character stuff, which he has admitted several times.
Yeah, it's not about that. Because there isn't much.
Yeah, and it's just so as we get through this, he's a bit easily taken down. Which you know, I know he's traumatized, but seriously, come on.
Yeah, Jason. Then again, though, Jason had a free shot to just cut his head off, and he didn't. He just went up and slashed him in the chest, and thank God Tommy works out. He's got those abs, so he goes down with a slash, but it's not even that.
And then he stabs him in the thigh.
It's like,
he stabs.
Stabs him in the inner thigh with the pocket knife. So the pocket knife comes back.
Thankfully, but it's also like, oh well, yeah, you did get that. It's like, huh. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's setup and payoff. Oh, genius filmmaking, absolute cinema. But.
So at this point, we have Jason with getting hit by a front loader, dead on, shredded left arm with a chainsaw, and stabbed in the inner thigh with a pretty sizable pocket knife. Still able to move, still able to get around. And also,
if he can't teleport, he's been running all day, like miles and miles.
Yeah, he's been really good at cardio.
It's insane the shit this man can do. However, you know, Pam and fake Jason, they're like juking each other out, like right near the window. It's kind of funny looking. Reggie gets on the goddamn tightrope and he just jumps up. Oh my gosh! And he just knocks him down.
It's Reggie from the top rope. He just like body slams Jason, knocks him over the edge. They think he's knocked off, but he's actually hanging on. He tries to grab Reggie.
And basically what happens is Tommy regains consciousness very conveniently at this point, and he slices at fake Jason's hand, and he goes falling, and he hits.
Yeah, he cuts his arm off, and then Jason falls into this like conveniently placed spike pit of death. I guess it's like parts to like a wheat thresher or something, but he just lands on a bed of spikes. And
wait a minute, but Tekking, I don't think we've addressed something this entire time.
Wait, is it not actually Jason? No way, they wouldn't do something like that.
But who could it be though? Wait a minute, is it?
So let's go through our suspects. Was it Tommy?
Tommy's evil twin. Trish?
Was it Billy?
Was it Trish this whole time? Oh my god.
Was it Ethel?
Was it the dog from part 4?
Was it Vic? Did he break out of jail and go on a murder spree? Dude, that would have actually been a better twist, but the only way they would have done that is if like they would have had to like say that at some point. Like maybe in the background they could have had somebody say like in a radio broadcast like, you know, Vic Fadden broke out of the local jail last night. You know, it's just like, you know, that would have been really cool if they put that like in the background.
And but who could it be? Well, Raymond is dead. We've established that.
It is the well-established character of Roy.
Oh my God, Mr. Burns! How could you do that?
It was Mr. Burns the whole time. Yeah, excellent.
Smithers, get me off of these spikes. Yes, sir. But yeah, it's just, I feel like if I was an audience member back then, I know Jason doesn't have a ton of character. He doesn't
really.
I still probably would have felt a bit cheated, just being like, okay.
Yeah, like I once again, if I was in a theater watching that as the twist, I'd be like,
It would also be like, why is there a twist? There's no real reason.
Who? Yeah, like I thought it was just Jason. What? Wait, who is that guy? Oh, he's that
the guy
guy.
who's staring at the camera. Yeah. Huh.
Yeah. Okay, I guess. So we cut to the last scene of the movie, which is
because these always end in a goddamn hospital.
Yeah, they usually.
Yeah, but then we get to the hospital and Tucker, because where were you this whole time? Where the fuck have you been? He goes to the hospital. He encounters Pam and is like, tells her that Joey was Roy's son. So how the fuck does this work?
By the way, so the reason that he's able to piece this together is so great. He pulls out Roy's wallet. First of all, JL, do you often keep like a wallet-sized photograph of your headshot inside of your wallet?
I mean,
like maybe Roy was trying to be an actor, like hand out his headshot.
Yeah, so I keep a picture of my own face and my estranged son's face. That I don't know.
The son's face makes sense.
No, it doesn't, because when did he take that picture? Because he doesn't know.
Oh, that's true, because it was Joey when he was, like, an adult, like, as he was, like, right before he died.
Yeah, and they don't, like, he never knew his father.
They don't talk. They don't know. Yeah, they don't know that's
Unless
his dad.
Roy randomly showed up and was like, hey, Joey, random guy, can I take a picture of you really quick? It's like, sure.
Yeah, that'd be weird, yeah. Unless he got it from, like, the adoption network.
Even that would be creepy.
Yeah. So there's a picture, there's a picture of himself, and then there's a picture of Joey, and then there's a bunch of, like, newspaper clippings of the Friday the 13th, of the Jason murders.
Newspaper clippings in your wallet, Tekken?
That I understand, because it seems to imply that, like, Roy went crazy and was like, okay, I guess I'm going to be Jason now, so I'm going to clip a bunch of stuff about Jason and keep him in my wallet.
Why in your wallet?
Inspire me, I guess. I don't know.
Why not in your house or like something like that? Why in your wallet?
If anybody finds out what I did, I need to have an entire story in my wallet on it. It needs to be able to piece this whole thing together on why I did what I did.
Tekken goes out and becomes the fucking Jack Frost from the Jack Frost movies, we're gonna find in his wallet just a random cutout of the stupid poster, I guess.
Yeah, there's me, and then there's a snowman,
like a melted snowman.
Yeah, that's the reason I did the things. So Tucker tells Pam everything, like, Roy was Joey's dad, Joey got murdered, he saw his son murdered in front of him, that made him go crazy. They're trying to do something similar to, like, Pamela from the first movie, Pamela, Jason's mom.
Confusing that there are two Pams, but,
there are two Pams. I just realized that.
But what's so weird about this also is, he's like, he just went crazy and he wanted to blame the killings on somebody, so he did Jason. And I'm like, wait, so is Vic still alive? What about Vic, the guy who killed your son?
But ironically, Vic actually never died.
Yeah, so, Roy, you fucking suck.
Yeah, it's like, I'm going to not murder the guy that killed my son. I'm going to just murder the random people that were there when it happened. And then a bunch of people that were completely unrelated. Like Vinny and Pete had nothing to do with any of this.
They were in love, you sick bastard. It's like, it's just so pointless. And then I don't know what to make of this ending. It's so weird.
The last shot of the movie. So there's a couple of different stories with how this went down. So one of them is the guy that played Jason. The guy that played Tommy, John Shepard, actually wrote an ending scene for Tommy in the hospital room. And it was basically this, except he also included like a 3-paragraph monologue. And the director looked at it and was like, okay, I like this and we'll use it, but you haven't said anything in the movie, and then all of a sudden you have like this monologue at the end. We can't have that. That doesn't make any sense. I have also
heard conflicting stories of like certain producers being like, yeah, we never actually planned for Tommy to be Jason. Like some people have said like we implied it, but we never were actually going to go through with it.
It feels like at the end of the movie, that's where the director was definitely pushing it.
But like...
Yeah, I mean, it's not even really debatable because the last scene is Tommy putting on the hockey mask and attacking.
But it's one of those things where I'm like, so basically Pam walks in there and it's like, oh, you're Tommy, nobody's here. And then Tommy screams and he has a machete and oh my God, he stabs Pam and it's a dream. It's all a dream, Tekking. And he goes and he looks in the mirror and Lucid Jason is standing there and he's just fades away. It's kind of an awkward shot where he just fades.
Yeah, and it's like, did he put the beast to rest, or did he get like possessed? He's been chosen to be the next Jason?
In part, obviously in part 9,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh
so
yeah,
the
part
slug,
9. Well, yeah, I'm sure they
the slug possessed Tommy, and Tommy goes to his drawer, and he has the Jason mask. Now, Tekking. Where the fuck?
What's police
where
evidence?
The fuck did he get this? First off,
dude, the police in this town don't know shit. They probably Tommy probably scooped up the mask before he got sent to the hospital, and they just assumed yeah, this is part of his personal property.
And he put it in they just put it in the drawer, or did he put it in the drawer?
Yep.
Yeah.
No, they probably put it. I find it funny if the hospital staff didn't even question it. Like, okay, we're gonna take you out of your street clothes and we'll put you in this hospital gown. Don't worry, we'll keep your belt and your pants and your hockey mask.
We'll also
safe.
take your knife here and we'll just put it over here, really safe like. And it's like, okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He also has he just pulls a butcher knife out of nowhere. So maybe the ending scene is another dream.
It's not even like a machete. Yeah.
It's a butcher knife.
And
he
Pam,
just has
so Pam walks in and then she's like, wait a minute, where's Tommy? And then he's behind the door and he puts up the knife and it ends. And he doesn't kill her because in part 6, they never mention him ever killing anybody. So it's like, I guess he just...
Yeah, actually, in part 6 opens up with him getting out of the mental institution, which doesn't make any sense if he just straight up murdered Pam in the hospital room right there. So I'm assuming that's probably another dream within a dream.
A dream within a dream. Edgar Allan Poe, of course. This it was all referencing that. It's so genius.
So at this point, depending on what version of this you read, on how this goes, Tommy gets sent back to the mental institution for a few years, meets Hawes, and then gets out of there again, and then gets a truck somehow, and then drives to the cemetery, and that's how part 6
ends. So I'm going to call bullshit. This is it's so weird, but whatever. So... with that being said, we're gonna be closing this out. Tekking, you got anything?
Thanks for having me, JL. Always
a pleasure indeed. And of course, where can they find you, Mr.?
Yeah, I'm around. YouTube, Tekking101, Spotify, Tekking101. I have a channel where I talk about Bleach called Bongcast, and I am now streaming more on Twitch. I'm an affiliate on Twitch now.
Oh my God, Twitch!
So, I'm streaming a lot more Baldur's Gate 3. I might be streaming some of that tonight. Depends. I'm not sure. Well, I mean, this will be up long after that, but I'm going through that game. So that's what I'm up to. Just Tekking101. You'll find me.
And expect some more horror reviews in the future. Just more fun ones and such like this. And who knows if we feel like it, maybe we'll eventually do another one of these. But.
Yeah, I've talked about Jason X with Spooky. I think Jason Takes Manhattan as well. So I've worked my way through.
So yeah, now you just gotta keep doing collaborations with people and get through all of them.
Until we get to all of them, we start talking about the good ones.
The good ones! Hooray! All
right. Thanks for having me,
being here. All right. Let me have a good day, everybody.